Welcome to BAM, Badass Moms with Lori and Jenny. We are moms on a mission to share women's stories about life, fitness, aging, relationships, travel, and much more. Hello, friends, and thanks for listening. I just wanted to take a second to give you a quick reminder about subscribing to the show. If you have not already, just take a moment and do so. This will make sure that you never miss a daily bite or an upcoming episode. And in addition to that, if you have a few extra moments and like to drop us a review, we'd really appreciate it. And there's also a sponsor of the show located at the bottom of all of our episodes. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for being badass. Hello, friends, and welcome to BAM, Badass Moms with Lori and Jenny. Today, we have such a lovely guest on our show, Hilary, who is going to take us on her journey of being and becoming a very successful real estate agent, raising two wonderful humans, and the path of how she got there. She has a very interesting story of what led her to her current now, and we are so excited to have her on the show. Jenny, why don't you start off by telling us your relationship with Hilary and how you ladies know each other?
Yeah. So I don't even know how many years ago it was, but I met Hilary actually through somebody I worked with. And it was this weird serendipitous moment where I was talking to this person that I worked with, and he was like, "Oh, I think you guys were dating at the time." He was like, he knew Hilary. They had gone on a few dates, and he said, "I think she lives by you." Turned out we were neighbors. So Hilary and I connected. The relationship ended, but Hilary and I stayed in touch.
Exactly. That happens a lot.
I know, exactly. So we've stayed in touch. It's been, our kids were much younger and you didn't have your youngest. So it's been a while. So we just have stayed in touch over the years, and I've watched her success, and I was like, you know what? I think she would be a great one to have on the show so we can chat a little bit.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So Hilary, why don't you tell us kind of where you are in your career right now and kind of how you got there, and just kind of give us a little bit of a glimpse into who you are.
Oh, it's going to be hard to keep it short, right?
You don't have to.
Yeah, no, we've got time.
I'm stoked. I'm really pumped. You know, it's been a really just challenging journey. And I think for so many years, especially the past 4.5, I got my license. I was terrified, and I literally have not taken a day off in that 4.5 years, not one. Even
real
if I'm
estate license, right?
You're a real estate agent, right?
Somewhere, I'm answering calls 7 days a week. I'm facilitating 7 days a week. And I've been doing that for several years. And that's, to make it in this business, just like a lot of self-employed businesses, you have to really know how to hustle and not burn yourself into toast in the process. And you've got to be dedicated. And I think the biggest joy is I was just in this really fight or flight mode for the first few years of that, of just not like double vision, like literally. I think people a lot of times see the picture and they don't realize behind that how much you're working and sacrificing to make that picture of success and to get to the closing table and take care of your clients. And, in real estate, we have to have an image where we've got it together all the time. Oh, we're smooth sailing. We're the cheerleaders in this industry, right? So, but if you have anything personal going on, you have to know how to leave that at home or manage it in a way that it's not going to inhibit your success. So where I'm at right now is I'm really excited because for years I was struggling. And, in real estate and in a lot of these, you can fall out at any time, right? You can have a couple deals, but where's the other deal coming after that? It can be scary because it's not a regular paycheck. And I just stayed. I have really strict systems I run for myself. I have really lofty goals, and I just kept my head down for years. And then all of a sudden, in some of the hardest experiences I've had, I'm winning awards and closing more deals than other agents. And other agents are asking advice from me, other agents who I really respect and admire. I felt so low on the totem pole for the first few years, which you have to grind. But to now be in a position where I feel like if I could build what I've built with this amount of stress and this amount of struggle, I'm just so excited to see what's next, and how many other people I can help. Because truly, I do this career because I love that feeling of helping people.
Well, and you've always done that, right? I was telling Lori before, when I first met you, I think you were working downtown and you were doing hair, makeup, remind me what you were doing previously. And you had a really successful career in that as well.
Yeah, I did hair and makeup and skincare, and I was in the luxury salons business for many years. I helped open the salon at the Ritz-Carlton originally. I was in Beaver Creek to start. And then most recently, I helped open the Four Seasons Hotel, which was over 10 years ago. But I built Level 3 salon, which is within the spa at the Four Seasons downtown Denver. And so it's funny because it was like I'm top 1%, but I'm working for a corporation where you're never going to break through that glass ceiling, which is just the name of the game, right? So I worked very, very hard. I always had a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I started a mobile come to you hair and makeup business called Luxe Crew.
And that's got to be the best, right? Because I mean, how good do we all feel when we go to the salon and we're like, oh my gosh, but it takes that time to travel there, to get home, to have somebody just show up at your door whenever you need them and just have you like sit there and basically make you beautiful. Exactly. That's awesome. How did that go for you? Was that a good side gig?
It was awesome. It was awesome. And then, I'm a doer. So I was always flipping my homes as a single mom that I lived in. And that's where I always loved real estate a lot. It was just scary to know, like, to actually take the plunge because I was in this cushy career. I mean, I had celebrity clientele. It was awesome. The perks were great. But again, I never made a lot of money. So I made, Luxe Crew was great. And then I was always doing side stuff. And then I flipped my house and I made more in Bradburn.
Yeah.
When Jenny was my neighbor, I made more in that year flipping my house than I made working full time at the salon.
So was that kind of the tipping point? We look for that kind of like light bulb where although you were enjoying what you were doing in, the beauty industry, you saw how beneficial the real estate industry could be maybe if you put more of your focus on it. Was that kind of a realization you had at that time?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because you think about when you work for a corporation, and I just had this conversation with someone, it's very scary to go out on your own because you're like, well, will I make enough money? Will I make enough money? If you flip your thinking from, when you're working for corporate, you are capped at a certain amount, right? You might get 3% every year if you're lucky. But when you're working on your own, working for yourself, there's no max. So even though people are nervous about going out on their own, the sky's the limit. You can make whatever your heart desires, right? And however much work you want to put in, and there's no cap to it.
Correct. And then you learn how to scale your business, which is a whole other element. And that's where I put this quote out a lot. It's, the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So keep climbing. It's never going to stop. You always want to just keep going with it. And and in my career, I had a mentor, and she really talked about limiting beliefs and getting rid of those, because we're essentially the only people that really hold ourselves back by having these limiting beliefs. That's how I was raised. Was even when I was at the Four Seasons, the other girls in the nail salon would be like, your ideas are too big. Must be nice,
Yeah.
I'm out here hustling, so I want something better, and real estate was terrifying, but I kind of got forced to make the decision because I married the wrong guy accidentally, and he was very controlling, and I got forced into it. We owned a construction company together, and he burned it into the ground, and I learned what not to do. I mean, sometimes these failures really teach you how to be successful.
Right. Well, Jenny just talked about failure the other day and how, we always think, failure, that's so bad. It's so horrible. But really, sometimes you have to fail to find the success and your next journey and your next steps. And I think, failure, it only builds character and makes us stronger. And so let's talk about, you are a mom, Hilary is a mom. She has 2 kids. And Hilary, why don't you tell us a little bit about your kids and their ages and give us a little bit of insight into doing all this and being a mom.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's the light of my life. I think it is for all of us. I think it's been an incredible gift, especially to be divorced twice, because if I didn't jump into those relationships and give it a try, I wouldn't have these amazing kids. So, and that you're teaching your kids that. So my son is 20 years old. He's 6'2". I had him when I was 25 in my first marriage, and he's incredible. I think I've been really lucky with him. Obviously, I pride myself on being a good mom. I'm very open with him about everything. I don't hide anything. I think it's up to us to really give them the tools to make their own good decisions instead of saying this is good, this is bad. And that's how I've raised him. He came and shot firearms with us at our event yesterday. His high-level GPA. He actually thrived during COVID because he's so intelligent. He was going to calculus classes at the community college at age 14.
Oh my gosh.
I can't help with that homework. He's just this prodigy with his mind, but then he's also like a really great guy, skateboarding and snowboarding. He's kind. He's a great big brother. But he's going to CSU for mechanical and electrical engineering.
Very cool.
He's doing awesome. He got some scholarships there, and I try to see him when I can, but he cut me off. I was like, he's like, Mom, I have to grow up and you need to move on. And I was like, whoa.
My daughter says, I'm just trying to live my life.
Until they need something and they're like, Mom. And you're like, yes, I'm here.
Yep. And then I have Ivy Grace, and she's 5, and she's like a hurricane wrapped up in a tornado. He was like never slept more than an hour. She's just a wild, full of energy, young little girl. And she's so beautiful. And, out of that marriage, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but to have her, I would be an empty nester now.
Yeah.
And the first time you go through school and stuff like that, I don't know about you girls, but I was like deer in the headlights, like you're learning how to be a mom. And like, now with her, I've already done it once. So we bike to kindergarten and all the kids are there. And I just get so like teary-eyed because to be able to experience it in a more intentional way, it's just magical. And I'm really glad I had her at an older age, because to me, having a boy was very simple. Girls are definitely more complicated.
I have 2 boys, so I haven't had the, excitement or, I haven't had the girl. So
girls are a challenge.
So I'm glad I can guide her with what I know as an adult female versus how I was in my 20s, So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Now, do they stay in contact with their dads?
Yeah. My first husband and I, great friends, awesome guy. He teaches skateboarding and did all the sports. Great guy. Co-parenting. Awesome. Just didn't have the connection in our 20s that was long. I'm so grateful for Pat. He's amazing.
How long were you married in your first marriage then?
2 years.
2 years. So it was short. Okay. Yeah. But short enough to, like I said, have your son and also realize that his life is better with you guys both in it, but separate.
And happy.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And then I do not speak to my daughter's father. That I've been in litigation for 4.5 years for custody. It's very difficult in Colorado. I've spent $100,000 of my own money as a single mom. He's the type where he can't let go. He's filed over 50 counts of contempt against me, all dropped. It's just, my attorney says he has some sort of screw loose. So, but it's taught me how to, work through the legal system, and it's taught me to be strong and face someone who, doesn't want me to succeed and
So she still does see him. Your daughter does still.
Well, not to bash him, but he's a 38-year-old man who lives with his parents. Yeah. And he is essentially, she's allowed to go over there half the time right now. Again, we're in litigation and I've filed for full custody. See how it goes, but you have to work through the system. But she technically goes to her grandparents' house and he's there. And for, I know her grandparents and they're safe. So that's my kind of saving grace.
Peace of mind. Yeah.
I'm enjoying the 50-50 until things change, because she is going to school with me in kindergarten half the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I foresee she'll be with me full time with the way things are going. So just gearing up for that.
Yeah.
How is the relationship with the age difference between and them also having different dads with your son and your daughter? You said he's a great big brother. How do they kind of spend time together because there is such an age gap? How do they still find that time?
It's crazy. I mean, they just love each other, and he takes her on his skateboard and cruises around, and they bikes, and it's an incredible relationship. They snuggle all the time. Essentially Caden had to be man of the house a lot of the time in the past few years. And they have this bond where he really cares about her development and her well-being. And they call each other all the time. I got her a little Apple Watch so she can call him.
Oh, that's so sweet. So sweet.
Yeah. It's magical, really.
Oh. I love it.
So what are some of your daughter's passions? You said your son is very into skateboarding. What is your daughter kind of thriving towards at her young age?
She's really girly. She loves singing and dancing, makeup and clothes. And I know she's young for that, but she really just loves art and like hair accessories and pictures. And she reminds me of myself a lot because she's very physical. Like she would challenge the boys on the playground and be jumping on the monkey bars. She's just very active like I was. She's kind of a daredevil, I would say.
Has she broke any bones yet?
No.
Okay. I have a 6-year-old and I'm always like, gosh, I tell him one body. I tell him this all the time. You have one body. That means if you hurt something, like that one part of your body is going to be hurt and you can't play all the other sports you play, So he's like, yeah, I get it, as he like jumps off something or like.
Yeah, they don't get it. They won't get it for years.
Yeah. I am a helicopter mom. I fully admit it. So I'm constantly watching,
Yeah. I'm a little bit like that myself. I've tried to get better, but I do, like I said, I have a 6-year-old and a 15-year-old stepson. So it is my first, with those younger years, just kind of making sure it's like, I want to make sure everything's okay. I want to make sure he's safe. But I'm like Jenny's talked about with her girls, you get to a point where you're like, all right, you got to figure it out.
Right.
It goes from trying to keep them physically safe from like injuring body parts and things like that to then the emotional and mental stuff later,
Yeah, it's true.
It's crazy. But so Hilary, take us back. So one of the things that you talked about when we were chatting a little bit before we started recording was Hilary wants to just kind of talk about the pieces of us that are, maybe not perfect. And, we see these Instagram images of other people and their lives look like smooth sailing, like nothing bad has ever happened and they're just successful and it was a breeze to get there. But there's all this stuff happening underneath, right? And there's all this stuff that you're trying to overcome. So, I mean, even from your childhood, you had a rough go, right? Yeah. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, again, I was embarrassed by this for a long time, and it feels really good to actually speak about it because I think there's a lot of people out there like this. So essentially, my mom is a great mom. I have 3 younger siblings. My mom worked so hard to provide for us. I think that's where I get my work ethic. And I was the oldest of 4, so I took care of everybody. There was a lot of rough stuff that happened when there was another marriage, and I won't go into it because she's a great mom. Things got really scary there, and I chose to run away at 14.
Yeah.
And I was a high achiever. I had a high grade point average. I was in gymnastics. I played piano. But I was not doing well at home emotionally. So I chose to run away and
like really run away. Cause I mean, there's all those moments when we're like 12, 13, they're like, I'm leaving, I'm running away. And you like go outside and you like hide in the corner. And then like 5 minutes later, you're like, okay, I'm back. But like you actually left.
I did. I went from 100% controlled environment, work, to complete freedom as a 14-year-old. How am I going to pay my bills? Yeah. And my father paid my rent at a condo by the high school so I could walk to school. But I had to pay for my own food, and I was 14 years old and nobody knew I was left alone. And
so how did you get the condo?
My dad.
Okay. So they were like, okay, this is what you want to do.
He wasn't there. He just paid for it. I think he wanted me out of my situation, but he wasn't the best parent. So he was just fine with a 14-year-old living on her own.
Right.
Okay.
That's what happened. So I started working at a hotel, scrubbing toilets, and I'm doing this. And then, inevitably I get this boyfriend at 15, and I'm really trying to keep my grades up and go to school and pay for things. And I don't know. I was so like
be an adult at 14 is what you were trying to do.
Yeah. And then I started smoking a lot of weed with my boyfriend at 15. And he was, you just fall into that. We were in Michigan in the woods, and everybody was like drinking and partying and smoking at young ages. And, we were just like, I think about it and just like, I look at my children and I'm like, I cannot believe I was doing that at that age.
I know.
Yeah. anyway, so I got this boyfriend. He was actually a drug dealer. And I was trying to keep myself together. But
did you know that when you started? Yeah. Okay.
I was very insecure.
Yeah.
Extremely. I was very shy, and he paid attention to me, and I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
No,
I was 14. I mean, nobody knows what they're doing at 14, and you were trying to be on your own and be responsible. And you wanted to gravitate towards, like you said, someone that was giving you attention and making you feel like the center of the universe.
I mean, yeah, in some weird way. Yeah. It was just like, I needed help, and I needed somebody there for me. And he was not the nicest guy, but he was committed to a relationship. And so he was a few years older. He got in trouble 3 times. He was arrested, and he was looking at going to prison. So we worked at Domino's Pizza, and so he was going to go to prison. So he chose to flee and go to Vail, because a lot of our buddies who are older than me, the guys, were there, and they were professional snowboarders, and it was like really cool and glamorous. And so I dropped out of school.
At what age? How long were you able to maintain?
Halfway through 11th grade.
Okay.
So junior. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I did get my GED. So that was good, but dropped out right after my 17th birthday, April of 95. We drove out to Vail. We worked at the McDonald's in Westvale.
Yeah.
Because we made $7 an hour. Okay. It was like cool. And all our snowboard buddies worked there, and, he continued to sell drugs. I helped him a little bit. I joked that it was my first entrepreneurship in sales. It truly was. We had, it's still a little embarrassing, let's be honest, but it was marijuana, and but
back then, that was years and years and years ago when, it was, illegal, and it was,
And again, I was still kind of a child. I was 17 years old, like no guidance whatsoever. I had no money, and like, I'm wearing skate shoes and my boyfriend's big pants. I mean, it was like skate style, And anyway, we worked at McDonald's. It was rough. I ended up breaking up with him right when I turned 18, and that's where I stopped smoking weed.
Mm-hmm. But you were living in Vail at this time, right? So now you're in Vail, and okay.
Yeah. And then I'm on my own, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I'm snowboarding all the time, and I'm working 3 jobs, and that's where you learn the hustle.
Yeah,
which I appreciate now, because at the time I'm like, this is all really hard.
Yeah.
And snowboarding, I start getting recognized because I rode with the guys, and to be good as a girl, you have to keep up with the guys. And so Burton called me and offered me a sponsorship, and
that's cool.
I started working in fine dining, going from McDonald's to Wendy's to Juniper and Larkspur, and learning hospitality, which is, I didn't go to college, but I learned how to hustle. I learned service, which I think is kind of a lost art these days.
For sure.
And just fine dining, refinement, I'm in Vail. It's a very luxurious environment. And then I'm getting all these sponsorships from all these snowboard companies. I rode on these teams, and such a beautiful family time, because I never experienced that family before.
So you started to find your community, a very solid, good community.
Yeah. And these guys were like my family. I hung out with a lot of guys. We all rode together, and they would protect me. And it was like, I'm still talking to them now.
Yeah.
7 years later, and we're still really close and tight. And I consider them my brothers, basically. I'm doing actually some work with them, because some of them are lenders and radon installation.
Yeah.
We're all grown up. So anyway.
See how it comes full circle, right? All those connections.
Yeah. So, and I always wanted a better life. And so I was always willing to work and hustle. And I really hid my background when I was working in these beautiful places. I just, I finished high school and compete. I never really went into the dark side.
You were in that mask, right? That we talk about. Like you had, this is who I am on the outside. I'm not going to let you get too close on who I am on the inside, or not necessarily, who you are on the inside, but your background and where you came from. You wanted them to see you in that moment and for who you are, not necessarily your background and your history.
Exactly.
And you said it was like you were embarrassed and it was scary to share this, but now that you've shared it, how does it feel? How does it shift you?
It's like a weight that I've carried.
Yeah. Well, and I think for our kids too, right? Like, I think about the kids with the social media and the stuff that they see. It's like, don't compare yourself to somebody else's highlight reel kind of thing.
Yeah.
And for them to hear somebody like you say, like, hey, this is where I am now, but this is the shit that I've been through to get here.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, it didn't just happen overnight. It's not that story, fairy tale story where it's like I went to high school, I went to college, I got my master's degree, and then I worked hard in the corporate world, and then I just became this amazing real estate agent. And it's like,
oh yeah,
not even close, right?
It's the opposite. It was like, how am I going to eat today? That's how it started. So it's awesome because I think what it's done for me is given me I just never felt like I was doing enough. I never felt good enough. And it gives me this peace internally that I'm okay. And there's nothing wrong with me. And, I've used that to become a strong mom, and a great mom. My son knows all this, and I'm very transparent with him because I'm like, honey, I have busted my ass to give you the life that you have. And I want you to take advantage of every opportunity, and I'm experiencing college for the first time. I've never been on a campus before CST. I'm like, this is cool. And we're going to games. And I feel like I enjoy things more sometimes because it's new to me.
For sure. You've gotten to relive that through the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no surprise to me that you said you're a helicopter mom. I mean, I'm shocked that you're like not smothered, like with the childhood that you had and the lack of, family. I mean, I can't even imagine how that would shape you as a mom and that feeling of wanting to care for them.
Very much. I mean, I consider my son the love of my life and now my daughter, and there's just nothing, even in a partner, like I think you both are happily married, and it doesn't compare to when you have a child from your own body and like that connection you have. There's just nothing like it. It's such a gift.
It is. I mean, that's what I tell myself when my son, does stupid shit. I'm like, God, I love you so much, but
motherhood is a blessing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be so infuriating if you didn't love them so much, right?
That's true. And my son, he's 6. He's around the same age as your daughter, and he's now on this like finding, where he says nobody cares about me. Like if he gets mad, and I'm like, buddy, everybody cares about you, and that's why we want you to make good choices, And he's like, okay.
I remember. So your Runaway story, like real legit Runaway, but I still very vividly remember I was probably 10, maybe a little bit younger, and I got mad at my parents, and I was always a huge dog lover. So I took my dog with me. She was a German Shepherd, and I had this suitcase, and it didn't have wheels on it, but somehow I was dragging it behind me, and it was like on open space. So it was not paved. It was like rocky. And I'm like with this suitcase dragging it along with my dog. And of course you're like devastated. Like they're going to know that I ran. It reminds me of Christmas Story when he's like, they're going to feel so bad, like they're going to be devastated. I ran away. Meanwhile, I was probably gone for 15 minutes. My dog hurt her paw. I got in trouble. I mean, the whole thing.
I could just see you with that conviction though. Like, I'm making a change in my life,
Right. Yeah. This is bullshit. I'm out of here.
Yeah. Peace out.
So obviously you're at a place in your life where you've done so, like, I like to say you've kind of reinvented yourself over and over times, right? Like you had these different chapters, and your current chapter, being in real estate. What would you say you're most proud of this, kind of in the most current time frame of where you are?
Well, I think whenever you have things happen in your life, you have 2 roads you can go down. One of them is, I can't do this. It's going to break me, poor me, essentially. And I can't do this. I give up. And then the other one is grinding every day and being like, I'm just going to keep going. It's not going to break me. It's not going to, it's 2 mindsets, and it's,
you're resilient, right?
For just like making it. And just being in a position where I had the aptitude and the know-how to recreate my life.
Yeah.
And the willingness to work and the, being forced into a employed system, like, and taking that leap, because the Four Seasons wanted me to come back, but then COVID, to your point, Jenny, happened and we couldn't work at the Four Seasons. So I got my license and it was scary, but then it was like, I'd just sell another house and I'd sell another house. And it all my business is based on my network that I built from my other businesses and from my background.
Yeah.
And, so it's trying to stay humble here, but it's like, I'm just happy that I was able to make it this far and also able to face my abuser, who tried to ruin everything that I had created. And to stand up to somebody like that, who's trying to constantly hurt you, is really hard. And it takes every part of you to stay strong as a woman. And I've been able to do that. And now I'm winning, but it's like, there's a lot of times where you don't want to keep going. So many times where you're just done.
Yeah.
And so be able to just make that incremental daily choice to keep going is really what I'm most proud of, to protect my children, to provide for them 100%. I've never received child support, nothing. I mean, I'm the breadwinner in all my relationships, or at least I have been until now. And just to be able to do that as a female and stand independently in my own feet too, as someone I've always been poor-ish, I mean, I don't want to say that because we live in such we have electricity and plumbing that we take for granted. Like, I've just always been on a budget, I would say. And now to be able to fully provide for my kids, to provide them with a future, to teach them, what it takes, to have a 9-to-5 versus self-employed, what that looks like. Mm-hmm. If you have goals, what does that look like? How do you achieve them? Carla Thompson, who owns our brokerage, Mile High Modern, she's awesome. But she talks about life is not skirting around obstacles. It's actually moving through obstacles.
Yeah.
And that's how you grow.
Yeah.
It's not avoiding the hard stuff. It's like you said, going right through it to come out better on the other side. I do have a question. This one kind of relating to men. It sounds like, with your experience, has that tainted where you are with continuing to seek a partner, or are you still optimistic and there's good men out there, like they're out there, and you're excited about potentially meeting someone to join you along in your journey, or have you really just been burned so bad that you're just like?
I would say I was burned in my 20s, 30s. I mean, it was always, I feel like I got talked into a lot of relationships, and I was so insecure that I was like, okay, and kind of going through the motions instead of being strong in my own being. And it took me a long time to learn relationships because I wasn't given that role model.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, the bar was set real low for me with men. So I, dated the wrong guys. I married the wrong guy. He, talked me into doing it for tax reasons to benefit me. And then I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn that, what an actual relationship is. I actually am in a relationship right now that's amazing.
Awesome.
We've been together almost 5 months, and I really honestly thought I wouldn't be with anybody again. I was happy. I met the love of my life, and he passed away last year. And Jason, was my business partner for 3 years, and he was my friend. And I had taken time after the divorce to heal, to go to therapy, to be single-ish. I dated, but to work on myself because I had never been single in my life. And I really took that time. And then during that time, Jason and I created a relationship of friendship. You start checking all those boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, commitment and parenting with the kids, and, and then it became really this intimate love at the very end last year. And so the gift he gave me is he set the bar for what a real relationship and a partnership is, where you could get cancer and your hair falls out and they're going to tell you you're beautiful, and they're your ride or die. You know how it is. So he set that bar for me. And then he passed away unexpectedly in May of last year. And I was fucking broken after that for at least a year. It was dark. And, but he helped me build my business. He was a commercial real estate, and everything I owe to him as well. Like, we built it together. And I was like we talk about those 2 roads you can go down. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'll be damned if this is going to ruin everything that Jason and I created.
Yeah.
I just dug my heels in and I kept going. Again, I was just like, I was happy. I make enough money.
Yeah.
I've learned the lessons. I've got these great kids.
Things were finally just feeling okay, like good, like
I've got this great life. I've had the experiences that I need. And then I met John. Our first date was June 15, and I would not be with him if every box wasn't checked. But the day I met him, it was like just where, not to compare, but it was just like where Jason and I left off. And so there's an ease about it. I know what I want, and I know what a relationship looks like now. So I'm very grateful for him. He just flew me to Vegas over the weekend, and we had a great time.
Yeah.
Very, very successful.
Who doesn't have a good time in Vegas? Okay? I mean, have you ever thought about your trip to Vegas back in your day and thought, God, that was a horrible trip to Vegas? No, I don't think I've ever thought about that. I mean, and I haven't even gone that many times, but I will say the one time that was not the best time, we had a trip planned, my husband and I, to Vegas, and I found out literally 4 days before we left that I was pregnant with my son. So that might have not been the best trip, just so I wasn't feeling well. And
Vegas experience. Yes.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you, Lori, you may not even know this. I actually got married in Vegas.
I didn't know
Story for another time. But yeah, we had a regular wedding, not just like elope. But we got
Was
married.
it at the little white wedding chapel? Because
I kind of wish we had. I kind of wish we had just gone full force, Elvis, all that kind of stuff. But yeah. So yeah, that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. But Hilary, one of the things, like when Lori asked you, are you open to like dating again and stuff like that? And I just smiled because you have the largest heart. You have just such a kind heart and you're so open. And I can't even imagine you, with all the shit you've been through, to still see the best in people. I really feel like you still see the best in people, which is an amazing gift. So, I mean, talk about a great role model for your kids.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to make you cry. Sorry.
I think it's important. I'm a good person, and there's a lot of good people out there.
Yeah.
And one of the best things you can do, though, I mentor my business partner. He's this amazing, successful younger man. And it's like, you've got to start filtering out. And it's just as important as what you're bringing in is what you're getting rid of, the boundaries you set.
Yeah.
Second, you start making better choices about who you surround yourself with. You keep meeting more of those type of people. In my experience, like, you are the combination of the 5 people you hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it keeps getting better and better. And I keep meeting more people who are just it's not success in business, because a lot of people can do that. How are you as a parent? How are you as a friend? Mm-hmm. How are you taking care of yourself? Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're somewhat worthless, Mm-hmm.
I love that theme, because we've had that theme constantly. Like with mom saying, it's all about taking the time to take care of yourself, because you have got to focus on you before you can be the best to everyone else. So I love that you point that out again.
Which actually leads me to one of my questions. How do you do that for yourself? How do you take care of yourself when you are the only parent?
It was a shit show for a lot of years. But, I think working multiple jobs when I was younger, I learned how to always be ready, my clothing, with my hair. And then the rest of the time, I am in sweatpants. My hair is hanging out here. So my sister was living with me at the time. I won Luxury Agent of the Year 2 years in a row. The first year I won it, I literally had ripped pajamas on and my hair was sticking out and the kids are pulling on me. It was announced that I won this award and my sister's looking at me and she's like, luxury agent, huh?
Yeah.
Because it's not, this is part of the time. And I don't like to dress up every day. And part of the self-care for me is sleep is a big one.
Yeah.
I cannot function without a lot of sleep. And so that's something. I don't go out at night. You couldn't pay me to be out past 8.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 8:39. I get up early. It's just I've learned a routine where I have that beautiful window before your kids wake up in the morning. Yeah.
Oh, it's so priceless. It really is.
It's new moments.
I don't shop. I don't go to the spa. I don't do anything like that. Self-care. For me, it's hydration, sleep, the basics, my skincare, laughing my ass off. stuff like that. So
I think we all need to laugh more. I mean, I think that's one thing, I saw something at one point, it was saying like kids, they laugh so many times a day. I don't know what the number was. And as you get older, you laugh less. And, I think we have to remind ourselves to find the funny in things. Right. And if we can't find the funny in our day to day, go to a comedy show, do something to just enlighten that spark of laughter. Because
why do you think I married Sean?
Well, right. Exactly.
I mean, and it's funny that you say that, because that stat about kids laughing so much more than adults, that has always stuck with me. And so every job I've taken, I always gravitate towards the people that make me laugh.
The funny people.
So I'm like, if you're funny, you already have like several points, right? Yeah. So, because you need that. You need that comedic relief in your day.
Mm-hmm. It's big. You can,
especially when you're in real estate and you have to kind of be so serious all the time, right? Like people, they expect you to be, or maybe they don't.
I definitely work on keeping everybody calm and happy. That's one part. My strength is negotiation. You got to know, because deals fall apart every 2 seconds, and you've got to know how to keep it going and close, and everybody gets paid and everybody's happy. That is a very challenging thing to do. And then do it over and over and over, and then do multiple at a time. And so, it's been good the first few years, because I got mentorship to help teach me how to negotiate, which was huge.
Yeah.
But I think real estate, I'll say it again, it's the most misunderstood career. It is not what people think. It's very difficult. It's luck of the draw too. I'm not a cold caller. I would never do that, but I have built a network around me that supports my business. And you can't be salesy.
Yeah.
You can't burn bridges. You've got to keep a good reputation, and
you got to build relationships, right? I mean, it's a business of building relationships.
And if you screw up, you're going to get a reputation, and you can screw up.
Word of mouth is a big deal.
Huge.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Hilary, your journey it's so empowering to see where you were, what you went through, where you are now. I always like to ask this question because I think it, makes you think, and it's just exciting to think about. What are you most excited about coming up for you, for your family?
I just see sky's the limit. I feel, number one, untouchable. No one can mess with me at this point ever again. A good feeling.
Badass mom right there.
That's right. No one can mess with my kids ever again. And not that they have, but be able to protect them and provide them with that. And then my new relationship, I'm really excited about that. I wouldn't be with somebody unless I didn't see it long term. And he has 2 boys, and I love his boys a lot. And we've all really connected. It's like everything else just kind of fell away. And, being able to achieve all this stuff, because when I'm really into vision boards. I think you make those too, Jenny.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan.
I make crazy goals for myself that at the time are so outlandish. People think I'm crazy, and I put it on a board, and I write it down, or I wake up in the morning and I say, thank you for it. I say, thank you for this accomplishment. Cause the law of attraction, and then doing it, and then it happens. And it's wow, it's just sky's the limit. I'm really excited about enjoying life, because we have it better than 99% of people on the planet, in my opinion. So it'd be a shame to waste that. And just loving each other. I don't know.
It just seems like you're excited about life. And I think that's great. And I mean, I think you're at a point now where you can just kind of enjoy where you have it. You've, like I said, busted your ass for so long. And it sounds like you're kind of in a place now where things are good.
Yeah.
And you've broken the mold for your kids, right? You've changed that pattern. You hear about those families that have gone years and years and years in this cycle, right? Of, whether it's poverty or abuse or whatever the case may be. And you have broken that mold for your kids and shown them what's possible for the future. So, I mean, what's not to be excited about, right?
Thank you. Yeah, honestly, that was always, when I was raising my son, my biggest achievement was breaking the pattern of abuse that's been in the family for generations, and getting away from it. Because I don't believe that if something bad happens to you, that it gives you the right to hurt somebody else, including your children.
It's not an excuse.
That's a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I think your story, I hope, for women that are struggling in places that are in dark places and bad relationships, that you've been able to, inspire them and show them that there's, a light on the other side of getting through it, and things really can turn into some of the most amazing things coming up in their future.
We can't wait to see what you do next.
Well, Hilary, thank you so much for sharing your story. It was a pleasure to learn more about you and, the amazing stuff that you're currently doing in the real estate industry. And if people are looking to, sell their home, can you go ahead and give a shout out to all the details about where you work and how to get a hold of you?
Yeah, I work with Mile High Modern Brokerage in Cherry Creek, but I sell and buy and sell all over the place. I specialize in fix and flips and development, but also luxury homes. Just my cell phone, my email. I have a couple of assistants, but I'm always available.
Well, we can put some of that in the show notes too, so people know how to find you.
Right on.
Thank you so much again for sharing your journey with us. It was a pleasure.
It's an honor. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks for listening, friends. And until next time, keep being you and keep being badass.